Hello, everybody. Is everybody in? Let me see. Hey, Bev, do we got everybody
Yes,
in?
we are good to go.
Perfect. Okay, now let me minimize you guys. Miss all your beautiful faces already. So, hello. I am so excited that you guys are here today to be able to learn more about Brooke Owens. This is obviously something that I'm very passionate about, and the fact that you're here today to want to know more about how to apply and what you can do to better your application just speaks volume about your commitment to the program already. So, I am so excited that you are here. So, let's get started. Oops. Okay, so quickly about the BOF program. It's a program to be able to facilitate paid internships and executive mentorship throughout the aerospace community. This is a way for you to be able to get your first step. And maybe some people have already had those amazing internships and you want to be able to show that to us. This is a way for you to be able to have a community full of people who can mentor you can seek advice from, and also just create a cohort with all these amazing women. We have like over 150 women now. Like, it's pretty intense, to all these people in these different fields coming from all different types of backgrounds. And we want you to be able to join that. Like, you are incredible as you are as well. And we need you to be able to join our program for that exact reason. So a little bit about me. I am currently a systems data engineer at Blue Origin. I went to University of Washington. So if you're coming here from some emails I sent to my major, welcome. Very excited to have you. I graduated with informatics in 2020, just in June of this year. And now I'm out in the field. And I really just can't be more excited to be at the job I'm at. This is like my dream job. And if you've seen any of my social media posts or anything about this, I am just beyond thankful to BOF to be able to give me this opportunity, because I wouldn't be here at Blue Origin without their help or without them being able to give me such opportunities, either in conferences or any ideas and applications that I've been able to apply to. And it's like just enveloped into more awards. I also have the astronaut scholarship. I received the AIAA Top 2020s just last year. I'm also a part of Out Astronaut 2019. That's for an effort to be able to get the first, or just in general, more queer people involved in space and to be able to go into space, because I identify as queer. Also, I am a Brooke Owens Fellow for 2018. So let's just talk about this a little bit. I think everybody comes from different backgrounds when they're coming to this application, and you're just like, what's special about me? And first of all, the answer is everything. Second of all, it's really important to be able to narrow it down. For me, I know that I was coming from a multitude of intersectional identities. First, I'm a veteran. I'm also queer, as I previously mentioned. I come from a poor background, like a small town in Texas that nobody would ever be able to find on a map. And I am also a non-traditional student. Like, I'm currently 28 years old and I just finished my bachelor's degree. Like, we are looking for people from all types of backgrounds. There are people who are mothers in our group. We have people that have multiple degrees as well, and people who were just going into getting your master's immediately after this and just coming right under the deadline. Like, we really, just the three things that you have to have about you that are important is that you are a woman or minority gender, and also that you're an undergraduate. If you're an undergraduate, by the time that you're sending in this application, that's all that we care about. So if you're meeting those requirements, like, you are able to apply, and we really want you to be able to part of this. For me, after my tour in Afghanistan, that's how I figured out something kind of like data science. I didn't know it was going to be data science at the time. I just knew that I liked analytics, and also I liked coding, and I wanted to be able to apply that to something. I didn't really know what at the time. It wasn't until I moved from Texas to Washington and started going back to school at community college, Seattle Central Community College, and I joined a rocketry club specifically, that I started to see I could apply coding to something that I was really passionate about. But, you know, some people might be able to relate to this, but I never had anybody tell me that I could work in space or do coding. You know, I had a very traditional life being given to me, and like, there wasn't much expected out of a small town girl, right? But this was a way that people motivated me and supported me to be able to reach my dreams, and showed me that there really isn't a ceiling. I just need to be able to go out there and get it. And it really just took a lot of failure, I'm going to be honest, and a lot of trying and asking questions and bothering people and sending emails upon emails to get to where I am today. And it was through Rocketry Club. I also did satellites and weather balloons just within my community college research programs. And then it was finally, I got my first internship at NASA at Johnson Space Center back in 2017 at this point. And then right after that, I did one at NASA Langley Research Center as well. And it wasn't until my first quarter at University of Washington where I'm just not doing well in a class. I'm really just like close to failing, and I've never failed a class in my life. And I'm really just at my lowest educationally, that my friend Tyler tells me, hey, you need to apply for this fellowship. And it's right at this point was in the midst of finals for me. And I was just like, I have 3 days to apply. Like, I don't think I can do this. And maybe if I get people who could write my recommendation letters on time, then I'll do it. And luckily they all did. And they all got into me like within the next day. And really the people who supported me have gotten me so far in my career. I couldn't have done it without them. And that's really what Brooke Owens is about. It's like people supporting you to be able to achieve your dreams. And when it comes to aerospace and even things out of that, like I'm not just like a person who works in aerospace. Like I love to hike. I love flying, as you can see by this picture. I love to travel. I just did 10 countries in Asia like last year. It's all these little things about you that are really important that we need you to show us in the application. So definitely the most important person out of this whole fellowship is Dawn. So Dawn Brooke Owens, she was born in 1980 and 2016, and she is the namesake of this fellowship for great reason. Her 3 friends, Will Pomerantz, Lori Garber, and Cassie Lee, they made this fellowship to be able to honor her in memory after she died, unfortunately, from cancer not too long ago. And so that's when they wanted to be able to make something in her memory that would be able to serve women in aerospace. And that's why me and so many other girls are here today. If it wasn't for the people that loved her and the impact that she had made on the aerospace industry, like, this wouldn't exist. And this program has done so much good for the world and for the community as well. Like I couldn't imagine not having this be a part of my life. So I love that even though she's gone, like her name is still carrying on into infamy for all of us. So that's really what we want to know is, like, I've talked about me and I've talked about Brooke, but really, what about you? We want to know your story. You're more than just your grades. You're more than just your achievements and your accolades. Like, those are all fantastic. But that's really what the fellowship is made unique, is because it's more about who you are and your brookiness and, you know, what really just qualifies you as you and what makes you special and what we want to value about you. And we need you to show that in the essays and everything that you're going to be submitting. So as we've talked about with internships and executive mentorship, you also have like professional development and networking to benefit you. So you may know, and if you don't know, there's a summit that usually happens. I know that we're during COVID times right now, so say for our last summit in 2020, we actually had a virtual summit to be able to have everybody pair up in the rooms with other mentors and to be able to do the grand challenges and all these special events that make the summit so incredible. But for, at least in the past and when I was experiencing it, we would go to DC and we would be able to go to the Hill. As you can see, these amazing group of girls, so this is the 2019 class, and we just be able to go and talk to legislators and other big people that are within the aerospace community. And then we get to talk to astronauts who come to see all of our presentations that we work like 3 days on to be able to build like these huge grand challenges based on a certain subject. And we're not going to talk too much about all the other little surprises that would be in store for you, but it's really just bonded me with so many women that I would never have the opportunity to meet so quickly and in such a unique way if I wasn't a part of the fellowship as well. So if you go to brookeowensfellowship.org/apply, at the very bottom, we have the current hosted institutions that have already been signed up for next year in 2021. And just to be clear, this internship that you'd be offered would take place in summer 2021. I only say this because I was that person who applied, was in the interview, and I didn't know until the interviewer told me, oh, you know this is going to happen during the summer. I already had a Pathways internship at NASA lined up for the summer, and I was like, oh, I can't do it. Back then, I thought that NASA was going to be the one place I was going to work and nowhere else. And so luckily, like they were able to make a workaround for me and I was able to do an internship this spring. But I don't advise this. I don't want you guys to go through the same thing that I had to go through. So know that it is in summer 2021. Okay, so some of these internships that you see up here, And all these companies are places that we've worked in the past, including more that aren't even fitted on here. And if you want the most updated list, like I said, go to that website. But I mean, you see obviously some of the big hitters like Blue Origin, SpaceX, ULA, and the Spaceship Company, and NASA. NASA wasn't even one when I first applied. So the fact that we also have that, if you're interested in the government sphere, especially in research, like you would most likely love it. I mean, any of these companies are pretty much like my goal to be able to work at. So I wish I could have interned at all of them, but alas, I had to like start my career at some point. So like I mentioned earlier, the program eligibility. So you have to be an undergrad student, and if you have to identify as woman, non-binary, or members of the gender minority groups, and as well the summer availability, as I previously mentioned, and the aerospace interest. Like it really, I need to emphasize this. I am not looking, I mean, I'm the person. The Brooke Owens Fellowship is not looking just for STEM degrees. Like we have plenty of engineers and tech people, like, and they're all amazing, and I'm one of them. We also want people who are non-STEM degrees. We want people who are policymakers, lawyers, in marketing, business. All of these are a part of the process to get to where we need to be able to put spaceships in space and, you know, put satellites up in the air. So know that as long as you have this drive and like some correlation with the aerospace industry, we're going to look at all of your applications. Don't get me wrong. Any application that is completed, we are putting eyes on. I'm just really excited to read all of them, to be honest. But for the fact that you just need to be able to show that you have that passion. That's really just what's important. And to be honest, that goes far and beyond just a fellowship. If you have internships and jobs, like anything that you're ever applying for, I think a key element for all the things that I've achieved is really just being able to show that I am passionate about what I am doing. If you weren't excited, I mean, it's going to come out and it's going to show that. And we want to make sure that you're going to be in the right place and doing the right thing that's for your life. So the application checklist, and I don't know who knows this, but the applications are due by October 4th. That is less than a month away from this time. So it's like you waiting to the last minute is not really an option. I would love for you guys just to get in as quickly as possible. We already have, you know, I'm not going to say a number, but we already have a lot of applications that have already come in completed. And we're super excited about the numbers because, I mean, how many we're going to have this year compared to the last year's past? I mean, who knows, but it's definitely an exciting time for all of us. So the current resume and transcripts, like that's specifically like number one when it comes to that is that it doesn't have to be an official. I know those are really hard to get when you have to get it like mailed to you and all this stuff. And an unofficial transcript will work just fine. 2 recommendation letters. So 1 should focus on your achievements, skills, and potential in achievement-oriented settings. And the second one should focus on your character and who you are, who can speak for you. Now, I'm not recommending like having like a parent or somebody like that be able to write a letter for you. But like say, for instance, I had a mentor that was at my community college write a letter for me. And she always wrote incredible words about me. Like, honestly, the letters would just like make me cry. So I was like, you are writing one of these letters for me. And I think the other one, I think it must have been written by a professor or something, but you know, that can be hard for some people who aren't, you know, in an aerospace degree. It's like, how are they going to talk about my skills in space when I don't do that on the regular? Like for me specifically, I'm in informatics, which is more like coding, data science based. It's like, we didn't really have anything, you know, relevant with aerospace. I just happened to like create a website in one of my client web dev classes that was associated with children learning about aerospace and private aerospace fields, because that's something that I feel a lot of people know about NASA, but don't really know about what's in private aerospace. So they're able to like write about me and how I have a passion in a way for bringing up, you know, the connection between what I love and like what I'm doing with my career, which was really important. So just know that you can have anybody write it, but the only person that can't write it, just to be clear, and I'll say this again later on in the presentation, is that a previous Brooke Owens fellow can't write one of your letters. Now they could send in a recommendation, as I'll show you a link as to where that is on the website. That's going to be separate from your application. Okay, so we just want to make it a fair playing field for everybody. And also the other thing is 3 original works. So this is going to include a multimedia essay, so that could be a video. I wrote a poem. Like other people have created such incredible works. I've done like stop motion displays. Some people have done dances. Like, there are so many different ways that people have contributed this, and it's all about that creativity that might be hard for you if you're not used to doing something creative. I know I don't feel like I'm very creative, so that could definitely be hard, but it's something that you're really just gonna have to take the time to think about, because it's a way of showing off who you are, which of course is very important to us. And then the 2 essays, they're going to be of different varying lengths. I think one's 250 words and the other one's a longer essay, 750 words. And they're all going to be associated with prompts, which we're going to show on the brookeowensfellowship.org/apply website. Everything is listed there, and it shows what prompts that you have to be able to fulfill for each of your essays. So the application process. First, you're going to submit, and please, please, please submit by October 4th. You know, I know think about technical issues coming in, and it's like, say your internet goes out, you don't want to wait to the night before if something like that happens. So please get your applications in as soon as possible, okay? The application review is going to be happening. It's going to be reviewed by a selection committee, where it's going to have all these brookies and executive mentors, and they're all going to be looking at these and looking for certain elements that are within your essays. So please, like I'm telling you, put that passion in. We want to be able to see it. And those semifinalists are going to be selected by late October. Once it's narrowed down to the semifinalists, we're finally going to have a phone interview. And you're going to have a phone interview with a founder or with a mentor. Founder is one of them. We have, like 5 on our board now. And it could be either of them, or it could be another mentor that we have affiliated with the Brooke Owens Fellowship. And the finalists for this year will be selected by early November. And the finalists are matched with the potential hosts. So this is going to be your host institution. And for me, in my experience, I interviewed with 4 different companies. I think I interviewed with Amazon Prime Air, Hawkeye 360, Strata Launch, which was the internship that I ended up doing for Brooke Owens Fellowship, and another one. And they were all like incredible companies, but really like Strata Launch was something that I was more passionate about. You're able to even rank what host institution you want to work at the most from all the ones that you interviewed with. So they know that's a good match. And the host institutions are going to like rank you as well. So it's just going to be like, who's the best fit based on this. And we definitely try to take in considerations of like location, and like it's hard for you to be able to move cross country to be able to go to this, and know that these are all located in various areas. So, I mean, I know that I don't think that's something that's happening this year, but I know in the future we're even wanting to have host institutions internationally. So it's definitely something that I will reiterate for anybody who might be on the call that has applied in the past and is applying again. Like, this is something that happens a lot, and we have had plenty of rookies who applied multiple times and they finally got in. So please, if you're here right now, I'm so glad you're here, but also like keep applying. Like, this is very important. The final match is going to be made by the selection committee, and it's going to be based on feedback received from finalists and the potential host companies. And then you will be hearing back in December. All these dates will be more refined, usually listed on social media of when that's going to come out. So please, if you're not following the Brooke Owens Fellowship on Instagram, Facebook, and other outlets, I'll have them listed later on in the presentation. Like, I would definitely do that for sure. So here's some frequent questions that we have for people. So can I apply if I'm a graduating senior undergrad? So say, for instance, if it's like your senior year and you're like, okay, well, I don't know, like by the time I get to my host company, I'll be graduated. And it's like, absolutely. Students who are pursuing a degree at the time of their application submission are eligible. Even in the fact, like I talked about before, like if you finished and if you're graduating in like December of this year, at the time that you applied for this, which is October 4th is the deadline, if you were at that point still an undergrad, you're eligible to apply. So please do. Do I need to be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident? Many of our hosts have the requirement to do the export control regulations, like just more or less just regulations and privacies and different clearances as well. But not all of the companies are like that. It can impact your application. So definitely do be aware of that, but please don't let that deter you in your way of applying. Like if you're an international student, like the worst thing you can do is take yourself out the running. So please just apply and let everything else fall into place. Since the start of our program, we have had a handful of non-U.S. nationals accepted. So know that it is still possible. how many students are accepted? And it has ranged throughout the years. Originally it was going to start at 36 because that's how old Brooke was when she passed away. But then now, because we have just so many incredible applications and so many incredible people try to apply, it's like, well, we have to let these people in, like we can't just not. So it's definitely going to range as time goes on. And the more incredible girls that we have, like, you know, who's to say what the number is going to be? We definitely are a still nonprofit, like, nobody gets paid to do this, that type of organization. So it's all about keeping it small so we can manage and give everybody that personal feel. We're not meaning to exclude anybody, and we know that you are an incredible person, an applicant. It's just hard to admit everybody for that reason. Now, are the internships remote due to COVID-19? The work environment depends on the host institution, which in summer 2020 ranged from working remotely, in person, and hybrid. I know some people at SpaceX were going in person, whereas I know people who were doing like NASA internships or other host companies that were doing it remote. So it's really just going to depend, but if we're approving these people to be able to be a host company, they'll find a way to accommodate you. There shouldn't be any kind of like last minute, like, oh, you just don't get an internship. Like, I'm telling you, these founders, they can make anything happen. So just you wait. So a few application tips. First, I could keep reiterating maybe more than once, and you're probably sick of me hearing, is to start early. So start asking for recommendation letters early to ensure that they are done in time. Like, I think that's probably going to take the longest, because you should give people who are making a letter for you at least 2 weeks to be able to make a good letter. Don't do what I did, where I waited to the very last minute. I think I was just in application season for like a lot of scholarships and stuff. So they had one that was kind of on hand, and they could be able to edit. So if you've had people who write ones for you in the past, definitely reach out to them again, because you want to just be able to have those people within your roster for when like you have some kind of last minute like award or scholarship come up. You want to be able to make that pathway to them easily accessible. Be personal. I know I'm saying this again and again, and I'll say it one more time. Be personal. We want to know who you are. You're not just your grades. You're not just a transcript. We want to see who you are as a person and why you're pursuing this career in the first place. So show creativity. I know it's hard. I know it's hard because I'm not creative, okay? I wrote a poem, it didn't rhyme, and I think it was like not a haiku, but I was trying to be. I think I've just probably read or seen way too many sappy movies or read too many young adult books, but I was just like feeling it, and I wrote it while I was in like the physics tower at my school. Like, find a place that inspires you and go there, and if it's like in the woods, if it's hanging out with your friends, like, show that to us. We want to be able to see what makes you happy and what inspires you, because we want you to be able to inspire us, and then you can inspire the world, and then that continues on forever, and it's a great experience for everybody. And we want you to be able to get feedback. This is specific to University of Washington, just because I know the things that are available to us, especially within my major, is like, please go to a writing center or have someone review your essay. And this is everywhere. And if you're at a college, I mean, I know even at my community college, they had something like this. So please see if they have something available to you. This is really important, because you might really just get stuck in your own story, and without having somebody else read it, they might have some like hanging questions of like, oh, how did you jump from here to here? Like, it might make sense to you, but it probably wouldn't make sense to somebody else who doesn't know you personally. And we won't know you personally reading the essay, but we sure want to, and that's why we hope that this is going to make sense to when the time that we actually start going through your application. So these are my personal tips. Take them, leave them, this is just my experience. I think one of the greatest resources that we have inside of the Brooke Owens Fellowship is the Slack channel to socialize with other applicants and to get answers straight from Brookies. Like, I know I'm on that Slack channel. I know people are answering questions. Like, I just had to ask a question from my Slack channel because I needed to answer a particular question later on in this presentation, and I immediately got an answer. So just know that's like another way for you to be able to like socialize and get to know other people who are applying, and they have like a way of introducing yourself, and everyone talks about like who they are and where they're coming from, and it's like you're building your little cohort before you're even inside of Brooke Owens. It's pretty great. So I think if you're wanting to get answers and help, and maybe you guys can even do like a study group or something together to be able to refine your applications, like, do it. It's your resource. Get your letters of recommendation done first, and then, because they take the longest, as I just mentioned, like, that's the number one thing. I think because it depends on somebody else, you're in control of your transcript, your resumes, and your essays, like, really. And I think maybe because I said to get your essays reviewed, maybe you should also do that as like a second thing as well, just because usually you have to like schedule appointments for that. So I would do those things first because they take the longest. Like I mentioned before, going somewhere inspiring to make or think about your creative piece. I know that that helped me, and I really hope that it could help you. I want to see heart and passion, so don't forget that you are a person first. I mean, school, again, wasn't very long ago for me. I know that I'm all about, like, you know, by the time I achieve something, it's like I'm on to the next thing, and I can't even just like sit and just like think about like what's happening, and I have to like just, what am I doing next? What am I doing next? And I get caught up. And I, even at the time of COVID, you know, like, and now I'm graduating and everything's slowing down, like, I don't have hobbies. Like, I don't know how, like, what do I do for fun? You know, I can't travel. Like, it's, what am I going to do? And it's really just about developing who you are. So I was able to like make those kinds of things. And we want you to be able to show that to us. Like, what are your hobbies? What are these things that really drive you and that are important to you? Use the writing centers at your schools, like I mentioned, and keep motivated, especially if this is your second year applying. We want to see what you accomplished in the last year. If you were just like, God, like I applied and I didn't get accepted, first, it wasn't because you weren't qualified. It's really, like I said, we only have a cap of so many people that we can get into this program. And this year could be your year, especially if you did more than you did the year before. I remember reading one application a couple years ago, and the girl was like, I applied before and I didn't get in. So I reached out to a company specifically that I wanted to be able to interview with. And I was like, hey, I still want to work with you. And she got the internship there. And then she became friends with the Brookie there. And then she got to know more about the Brooke Owens Fellowship, and she improved a lot more in her application and things that she had achieved over the past year. She came back to us and then she got accepted. Like, it's completely possible. So please don't be defeated. I have to like, the way that I can make this most clear is imposter syndrome is the worst and it's not real. It's not true. And you deserve this. Nobody deserves this more than you. You're not taking up anybody's space. Like, it is important that you apply for this. And this is no time to be modest. Show us what you got. Show us what you got. Like, this is probably the most important thing, because I know it's like, oh, we don't want to brag and everything. No. This is your time to brag. This is your time to show off what you got. We want to see them resumes just popping. All right. I don't want to see anybody being like, oh, I guess I tried to build this rocket. Like, I don't know. No, this is all very important, and you got to brag about it and show us, like, if this is something that you really care about, you're going to talk about it. And so we want to be able to see it. So this is my girl, Kayla. She also lives in Seattle, and she works at Amazon Prime Air. And this is a quote that she had. She said, I had never felt so many people personally invested in my success. The mentorship provided by the fellowship program is phenomenal. So first of all, she is phenomenal. And if anybody doesn't know, she is one of the executive founders now, part of the executive group. So there's Will, Cassie, Diana Trujillo, who, if anybody doesn't know, is a baddie that works over at JPL. And she's also married to William Pomerantz. She's just like one of the mothers that's been around for all of us. And she's just, like I said, a baddie. So get to know her. And as well, Kayla Watson and Julia D. So Kayla Watson came on to be able to improve pretty much just like Black acceptance that's here in Brooke Owens. As you can see, we're in very like horrific times that's happening within our lives, and the Black Lives Matter movement is like, it's consideration for all of the people that have, like, they need help. Like, this is a thing that we need to be able to consider. Like, even though the aerospace industry is very white, like, we don't want to reflect that. We want to reflect people in the world that exist. And so she's a part of that effort to be able to have that focus on getting more minorities into Brooke Owens Fellowship. Like, we're not perfect. We still are majorly white, and we don't want that to continue to be the truth. So I'm so excited that she came upon this effort, and also very excited to call her my friend. So these were some questions that were sent in to me, and then we're going to be getting into questions shortly after this from you guys. So one of them was, how do I join the Brooke Owens applicant Slack channel? And so this is where we're going to get into the brookeowensfellowship.org/apply. This will be like a one-stop shop for all the questions that you have. So we can click on it and get into it, but pretty much I'll just tell you that there is a form on that website. It's a Google form for you to be able to fill it out, and then you'll be added into Slack channel. So go ahead and do that. Where can I find information on the how-to guides and office hours? That was something that was listed on the apply, and pretty much it's going to be released between Twitter and Instagram. Some of our Brooke Owens fellows are just going to be able to run one of these office hours, and they'll probably post it on there, on any of these outlets, and just be like, oh, hey, this is when we're hosting it, please attend. So keep your ear to the grindstone and look for that. For the multimedia portion of the application, could I possibly do a small 5-minute Indian classical dance? So this is specific to somebody who is wanting to apply. And this is like one of her ideas. And she's like, or that would not be possible. And it's like, I mean, please do. Like, if this is something that you are passionate about and it's one of your hobbies and that you love doing, like, show us through it. We just want to make sure that all your multimedia and essays answer one of the prompts. And we'll show some of the prompts right after this, just to be able to kind of show you like where everything is, just so you know that you have answers to your questions. What if I feel like I don't have a professor to write a letter of recommendation for me? Where could I go look for someone to write me a letter of recommendation? So like I said, it doesn't have to be a professor. It could be a mentor. It could be like a group that you're affiliated with. It could be some research opportunity they have, someone you've worked for in the past. Just really, it's about someone who can speak truly to you and not give you just a generic recommendation letter. Like, we see her reviewing so many recommendation letters throughout this entire process. Like, we know when one's a little bit more personalized than others. So go to someone not for like their accolades, like it's like a governor, but you don't know them. Like, just do someone that's going to be able to speak to who you are. And for the answer of where could I go look for someone to write me a letter of recommendation, like I said, mentors, you could do professors, you could do people that are in your clubs, people you've worked for in the past. And also, please stay in touch. This is all the links that we have for Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Ask a Brookie. That's another way to be able to ask questions, is on the Brooke Owens Fellowship website. And then, of course, like I told you, if you go to that website and do /apply, you'll be able to find the form to get a part of the Slack as well. And also, feel free to reach out to me if you have any more questions. This is my direct email. So that's all I have to say. This is where we're going to get into the questions bit of this. So don't mind me. I'm going to figure all this out soon enough. Do we have, let's turn comments on. Or if anybody wants to speak up as well. 1 second, guys.
You muted yourself, Shannon.
Okay, thank you, guys. So anybody, if you have questions, you can speak directly to me, or you can post them over here and we'll recognize them in the chat. So who wants to go first? Joyce?
Hi, yes. So one of the biggest fears I have when it comes to applying to this internship is that I don't have a big aerospace background, nor do I have a lot of projects that reflect a lot of aerospace-centric topics, but I do believe it's still a field that I can become more passionate about as I explore it more. And, you know, it is a space where we can be innovative and, like, again, just make things more efficient, etc. It's just, I don't know if I have the sort of background that they're looking for, and I don't know how I would be able to compensate for that in my application should I apply.
That's a great question, Joyce. And I totally understand where you're coming from, especially if you're early on in your college, journey. It's like, I want to be able to apply, but do I have the things that you guys would like? And you're really just not going to know until you apply. Like, that's going to be the first step. Like, if you apply and you didn't get in, you could also reach out to us and be like, hey, I want to be able to make my application better for next year when you want to reapply. Like, what are things that I can do? And like I said, so just for a little bit of background on me, I did a lot of internships. I did 6 internships. So I worked a lot. And that's also a privilege that I have, because I was able to have somebody stay at my apartment and like sublet while I also like went off across the country and like lived out my life, and I had my own finances in order, right? But that's not everybody's like possibility. People have kids, people are living or working part-time jobs while going to college, and that we take that all into consideration. So if you say for instance, don't have a lot of aerospace experience, I would still just talk about your background in general. And it's like, hey, you know, mention like I work a part-time job, or like this is the thing that's been holding me back, but this is how I'm persevering, and I'm still going to school and I'm pursuing this degree, and this is how I want to be able to apply what I'm doing currently in my career or in my major to aerospace. Like you must have an idea at least of that if you're wanting to get be successful in aerospace. So it's okay if you don't have something right now, but know that that will be something that will make your resume stronger in the future as well. Thank you. All right, let me get to some of these chat things as well. So if I'm a student from another country, can I still apply? Yes, if you are an international student, we have host companies that will host international students. Again, it is going to be harder because not all host companies do. We do have ITAR compliancy in aerospace that's able to keep secrets from other countries. So like, you know, other aerospace like countries or like their own governments like don't also get our like secrets and stuff. I know, but that's just the kind of the way it is, and I'm really sorry. I wish it was different, but we also have companies, say like Made in Space has an office in Luxembourg, and I've definitely heard about it where they're wanting to make a brookie be able to go to Luxembourg, and so there's even like a chance for you to be like a brookie who is an American to be able to go to another country. And I know I'm like just name dropping on my, or not name dropping, I'm like forgetting her name right now, but we do have a few brookies who are international. So please, 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 please apply. Okay. Can your resume be longer than one page? It really depends. Of course, it can be longer than one page. As a personal advice, if you haven't gone into a career yet, I would still keep it to one page. You have one quick look for people to be able to look at your information. This is just like a general life advice. If you're applying for any job, it's like, keep it to one page. They need to see, this is not like Brooke Owens advice. We're just talking you and me now. Like this is I would have like your work experience first, from most relevant to least relevant. Then I would have your skills. So like I'm proficient in a lot of coding languages and also softwares. So I like put that on there. And then I put in my school, like my school information and like some classes that I would think are relevant to the job that I'm applying for, or in this case, Brooke Owens. So like anything that you're aerospace, even clubs, if you're a part of like a space club or anything, like put that on there. It's like, hey, you know, maybe I'm not doing research right now, but I'm exploring my interest in space and like some extracurricular activities. That's showing something, right? And then at the very end, I put my accolades and awards and stuff like that. And like it's just to be on there for name dropping sake, because we're not trying to be modest, right? That's what I thought. What we got next? We got, can your resume be longer? There we go. Do the letters of recommendation have to be under 250 megabytes as well? I don't know. That would probably be a great, very specific question for, excuse me. Excuse me, I'm just choking 1 second. That's better. All right. Okay, so yeah, about the 250, what just happened? Oh my goodness. 250 megabytes, I would ask the Slack group specifically to be able to know whether or not that's the case. For Natalie, if I'm a student from another country, can I still apply? Like I said before, the answer is yes. Please do. If we resume to in-person activities by next year, would we be compensated to be able to go to the local location of our internship? That's from internship by internship. I think that's, I'm pretty sure that's an internship by internship thing. I don't know if all companies do. I know that my company did. Well, at least for this case, Stratton Launch was just down the road, so they didn't have to pay for anything. But say, for instance, I did Ball Aerospace, which is one of our host companies. I did that the next year, separate from Brooke Owens, and they paid for me to be able to drive or fly to location Colorado from Seattle. So that's a really great question, and maybe I'll look into the internship program, like specifically at that company if you're interested in, and definitely ask that question from one of the founders, or again in the Slack channel, just to corroborate, because I'm not the one source. A lot of people are smarter than me about this, so please ask those questions again. Can Can my multimedia essay be a short story? Well, it depends. The story, if it's in an essay format or if it's just written, you know, that's a really good question. I'm thinking of, since the fact that I wrote a poem and that's creative and it's multimedia and, right? Like, this is how we're going to find out. We're just going to do this. And formats for the original work, short essay, long essay, multimedia. So, which means it'll take essentially any format that isn't a written prose essay. So please feel free to choose the media that best reflects you, your interests and talents. Here we have submitted poems, animations, written works of fiction. So I think that would apply to you wanting to write a story, spoken word pieces, song, graphic design. So yeah, it doesn't have to be specifically like a video format. It can, I think a story would definitely suffice as long as it satisfies one of the prompts, which let me bring that up again. Oh, and also has listed multimedia essay limitations right here. So also, I think it says a reviewer submission within 5 minutes. So it's like we have a lot of applications to be able to get to. We don't want to like favor and have somebody have something that's so lengthy that it takes up maybe more space than other girls, and we want to be able to keep everybody on the same playing field. So the 5-minute window is something to keep in mind. So for the prompts specifically, so we have prompts about your professional interests. So you have overall 16 prompts to be able to choose from, and your essay, your 2 essays in multimedia would have to be satisfying any of these prompts to be able to go over. Again, like I think back when I applied, there was only 6 prompts, so you guys definitely have a lot to go off of. Congratulations, and get creative. Like this is your time to shine. Can a multimedia submission be an art piece? Absolutely. I've seen some incredible art pieces being displayed. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk to some that I've seen that aren't my own, but they're great. And really get creative. Pretty much, okay, look, I'm on TikTok. I know what's up. I'm cool. Like, I would honestly take some inspiration to how people display art on TikTok. Like, I think you can probably get creative from that. You know, you know. Let me see, what else I got? On the one page. Hold on, I got lost. Okay, the type of accommodation do the interns stay in if they are far from home? Man, this is why this is a great question to ask a Brookie on the website, because I didn't leave Seattle for my Brooke Owens fellowship, or for my Brooke Owens internship here. So I just stayed at my apartment. I know in some cases, say for instance, Amazon Prime Air, Kayla, who I talked about earlier, she stayed in some dorms that were like taken just for Amazon employees specifically at my college, and they were able to stay there. When it comes, maybe some will be able to offer a stipend for your living arrangement. I don't know if every single one is going to be able to do this. So I think it's a great question to be able to review with Ask a Brookie or Slack as well. Okay. Can your resume be longer than 1 page? Like I said before, absolutely. It can, but I don't recommend it, is pretty much what I'm trying to say. What type of accommodation do the interns stay in? And we said that. For prompts, are we choosing 1 for each of the 3 sections? I noticed there are 5 prompts for professional interest, character. Okay, that's a great question. Let's see. Let's look at the prompts. Remember, all 3 of your responses should be original works created by specifically for this application. Every work should specifically address your chosen prompt. In fact, if possible, please include the prompt in your submissions itself, just so we are 100% clear on what you're addressing. So what that sounds like to me is that you can take anything, because it's like, if you know that you want to be able to build something based on a particular topic, I think it's just a way to be able to sort them, but not really like, this is only for multimedia, this is only for essays. So please mix and match. And if you're just feeling that, you know, I want to do all for professional interest, if that's possible. But again, my advice is that if you want to be shown as a fully rounded out student, I would try to mix it up and try to do 1 from all 3. Not saying that's going to better your application. What's going to better your application is what you feel confident in and what you're creating and showing us. So if that shows out more by doing like 3 prompts right here, do it. Okay. I'm just scrolling way too fast. Here we go. If we resume, okay. Does the program focus more on looking for people with space backgrounds, or are there opportunities for people interested in the aero part of aerospace? That is a wonderful question. I know I've talked about space a lot. I know that I have an interest in space specifically, so I'm biased, but aviation is something that's important to us as well. I know that we work with Boeing and the Museum of Flight, that's just right here in Seattle. And there's like aviation, I think Kitty Hawk is one as well. There's all these other companies that work with planes specifically, so it's not just about like space, even though I'm biased. Like, we definitely have opportunities in aviation as well. And please talk about that. Like, we don't, I mean, I think the majority of the girls are usually into space or like aerospace engineering in that particular light rather than aviation. And I mean, it would definitely, I think that would make your resume like stand out for sure. I'm currently in the process of becoming a permanent resident, but I have no guarantee that I will receive my green card by the summer. Would hosts express flexibility towards this? The fact that there isn't a guarantee definitely plays into a card on that because it really depends on what company you're going to be able to place in, if you are a U.S. citizen or not. And that's just solely because of ITAR restrictions. I mean, I think that's a really hard position to be in, and I know I have a privilege of not being able to experience that. I'm really sorry that that is your current scenario, and I hope that it gets all solved. But I mean, it's just based out of this, I would definitely bring it up during your interview process if you still haven't gotten your green card by that point. But if you're at all like considered a U.S. resident already, then I don't think it should be playing an issue. But definitely mention that within your application, just so there is no confusion. You don't show up like day one at Virgin Orbit and they're like, you can't. Like, so it's just best to be as clear as possible. Let me see. Does the program focus more on looking for people? Okay, we talked about that. Sorry, some of the messages double up, so I accidentally read them twice. For any brookies in this meeting, what is the most valuable thing that you've gained from applying to the fellowship, and what was the most fun thing that you did? Okay, that's perfect because we also have another brookie here, Christina Dong, who I really want you to be able to express your experience at the Brooke Owens Fellowship in answering this question.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm a 2020 Brooke Owens Fellow, and I just wrapped up my internship at Blue Origin. So for the question, I honestly like the most valuable thing that I gained from this was actually like for the process of applying was literally just putting all of my experience down and all of my motivation down in writing a creative piece, and also just expressing myself. I like for my creative piece itself, I wrote a poem, and I also like performed the poem itself, and like I really loved that process of just like writing all my feelings down. For my poem specifically, I wrote about like my insecurities of just like with like being confident and just like pursuing an aerospace degree, and just working with women in aerospace or women in engineering overall. I think just like the process of the application is amazing, just where you get to be creative, where you get to just show yourself and just be you. So like that's primarily what like through the application is just what we look for in terms of like the overall brookiness, like you being you doing you. And so I definitely think it's a valuable process of just going through. Yeah. And also additionally to that, what is one of the most fun things you did in terms of the, like, what would you like to clarify? Is that like in terms of the fellowship or in terms of the application?
In terms of the fellowship and in terms of your internship through the fellowship.
Yeah. So in terms of the fellowship overall, it was really the process of getting to know so many amazing like women in aerospace. Like that community is just so supportive, and even like the mentors in the program and like the founders just like have a passion to just support you, and like if you express specific interests in things, they're like the people in the program are just fully supportive of like all of your endeavors, and it's just so amazing. Yeah, so like that was like honestly like my favorite part. Like it was just really shocking to me how like awesome everyone was, and also like how like just kind and just supportive everyone was.
That was great. Thank you so much, girl. Uh, for me to be able to answer this question, for me, I think it was really like the networking alongside with the support, like Christina was talking about with the other girls. Um, I when you say that you're a Brooke Owens fellow and you're say like at a conference or like any kind of other meeting, like people know who you are, and other mentors want to be able to talk to you about your experience. It's like it's almost like it's a extra vetting process, because not only are you just applying for these other host institutions, like you already went through the Brooke Owens Fellowship as well, and they've also deemed you to be like, you know, this qualified person. So it's like after that, I feel like people just kind of, it's kind of like a little badge, and just, you know, it kind of does open the door really for me. And for someone who didn't have those connections in aerospace beforehand, like it was invaluable to me making the connections that I have to be able to get the job that I have now. So as well, like we all have like messaging groups just for like our specific year, and also we have like a Seattle Brookies group, so we can like meet up and get to know, like, you know, and be a part of everybody's lives and stuff. And I know at Blue, me and Christina are a part of like a channel to where we could just talk all the rookies there, because there's a ton of rookies working there full time. So it was nice just to be able to have, like, no matter where I am, like I could find someone who's in aerospace that's in the area that I'm at, and I can talk to them and be with them and like lean on them for support and help and anything. It's more than I had before I joined the fellowship, that's for sure. And the final question that I have is, what is the cost of the program? This program costs you $0. You are not paying anything into this program. Like we're paying you. We pay for it. So say for instance, when it comes into the summit, so you get paid by the fellowship or by the internship itself. Say from my experience, I worked at Launch, so they paid me. And I negotiated my salary. Girls, if you are not negotiating your salary on a regular basis at the places you work, or at least trying, some people have like a set stipend for interns, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, I would do it. And also that host company paid for me to be able to fly to DC, paid for my hotel, because we all stay in the same hotel, paid for my food, paid for all that. Like that's not going to come out of your pocket at all. And I know you guys have asked me about being able to, like, if they pay for you, like moving somewhere or like your living arrangement. Even Christina, she lives here in a Seattle area. So I think that's a hard question for us to answer, but I would definitely post that in the Seattle Brookies group, the Slack channel as well. Bev, she said your career center or career services office should have resources or salary negotiations. It's a great topic to bring up in career advising appointments. This is a great point, because that's how I learned how to negotiate through, because Bev, I know her through my informatics major at UW, and it was specifically just like a last minute thing. I was negotiating and signing contracts with Launch, and then I got an email like, hey, there's a negotiation thing happening like tomorrow. And I was like, I'm going to go to this. And if people want side advice on like how to negotiate, well, I'm here for it. Like, I love giving this information. You are worth the money that is being paid to you. So you need to get it. Like, you are not worth any less than your male counterparts, and you deserve everything that's coming to you. Is pretty much my point. Okay. So today only, thank you, Brianne. I also posted that in other groups. The masterclass is only $1 for a subscription, and they have a class on negotiating from an FBI hostage negotiator. So if you have a .edu, so I have a .edu because I just graduated, and I just got in the masterclass for $1 for the whole year. There's also one about learning from Chris Hadfield, an astronaut, on space exploration and how to like do human exploration in space. I was like, I'm watching that. Just remember to unsubscribe before the year ends, as we all know when we're trying to get these free trials. I know I'm not the only one out here, don't lie. So just as long as you play that game correct, like $1 is definitely worth it. Now, if anybody else has any other questions, personal, don't gotta be about the fellowship, like just please throw it out there. Do we get any location preference for the internship through the fellowship? I would mention that in your interview specifically, because again, some people have like financial limitations, or they have children to take care of. Like there could be so many situations that would limit you to not be able to just go off to Virginia or Florida or anywhere like that. So please mention that. in your interview. Like that'll be very important. It's not something you probably need to put in like your application. Just be sure to write those questions down for when it comes time to. All right. Do you have any other questions?
I have a couple more, but it's gonna be faster if I just talk about them than if I type them.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Oh man, I'm blanking, but one of them.
No, you're good.
Oh, I'm so sorry. This is so bad. Oh, can you apply multiple times, or is it kind of once you're in the fellowship, and you can do other opportunities, or how does that work?
Okay, yeah. So say after I became a 2018 Brookie, like I can't apply again, nor do I really need to because I'm already in the fellowship. It's not like this is a program for life. Like, let me put this out there. Like me and Bree, who's one of my bodyguards here in the chat, to also bounce people if they were going to get naughty, is she and me are in the astronaut scholarship together. And that was a great experience. Like, absolutely, like I got to meet so many astronauts. Like, it was just incredible. But Bree is like the one person that I still talk to from that like organization. I still talk to Brookies every single day. Like, this is a fellowship that we want you to be a part of for life. And for me, like, I want to continue giving back to this fellowship because it's done so much for me. I want to make sure incredible people like you get into the fellowship, and I want to be able to enable that. Like, so many people just don't know about the fellowship. If you don't know about the things that are offered to you, like, you can't apply and like you're just excluded. And that's definitely systematic. So I'm doing my best, and I know it's like competitive, but please, if you know other people who just don't know about this opportunity, like give them their chance and please just forward it to them. Or if you know, I know you don't have to do this work. I'm not telling you got to do work. I'm doing a lot of work to try to make this happen. And so are we have a recruitment team trying to make this happen, but it's really important for other people that just aren't us to be able to know about this. But Anna, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, I was wondering more about the scholarship. Is that mostly dependent on the host institution, or are there scholarships that are included in joining the Brooke Owens Fellowship?
So there's no scholarship a part of the Brooke Owens Fellowship. It's a fellowship is just like a cohort of people doing this thing. So when you apply and you get into the final round, then you do a host institution interview with these host companies such as NASA, SpaceX, Blue Origin, etc. They pay you as they would pay any intern. It's just an internship that you get it. And then you have like executive mentorship from top people. Like my mentor was Mandy Vaughn, who's like president of one of Virgin's companies for like government, just pretty much she was like a baddie in the Air Force, and then she now works for Virgin Orbit as a subsidiary type thing, and she's a president. Like, you have to just look at this list online. Like, it's incredible the kind of people that you have access to now, like astronauts, anybody. Like, it's pretty great. But yeah,
so it opens up like the co-op thing for you, or opportunities where you can get more clout in the industry.
Oh yeah. So I mean, that's none of that's like promised you, right? But like now Brooke Owens is like something that's on your resume. So it's like, okay, so when I'm applying to like AIAA top 2020s or whatever, it's like I'm a part of the Brooke Owens Fellowship, just as I'm also been in the astronaut scholarship, and I also got this gay scholarship from GSBA. Like, I got all this. It's just one of those things that you're able to list, and it's not, again, this is not a promise like, oh, they're good, like let them in. Like, it's more or less just like it makes you stand out as an applicant. But yeah, so there is no like other compensation besides the internship that will come to you through this fellowship, or at least promised. So, all right, what other questions we got?
Okay. Shannon, just want to make sure that you see the questions from Amanda and Savri a bit higher in the chat about the internship duration and feedback.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes, we can go over 7. No worries.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to like shut down, and it's like, all right, bye guys. I was like, I'm sorry. All right. Are you talking about the one that was sent at 6:54, Bev?
6:55 is the internship the entire summer, and is it possible to get feedback from your application if it's unsuccessful?
Absolutely. So is the internship the entire summer? It's 10 weeks, and it ranges depending on the company of when that start date is. And also, I know some people are quarter semesters versus or quarters versus semesters. I am personally in a quarter system, which is 10 weeks 10-week quarters within my school year. So I have like 3 quarters, whereas semester is just the 1, 2. So that will definitely factor into when your start date would be. And I think it's like, depending on the company, it can be flexible. But again, that would be a great question to ask for when you get into the interview stage for sure. Is it possible to get feedback from your application if it's unsuccessful? I would absolutely recommend that you email the Brooke Owens Fellowship and be like, hi, I applied, I didn't get accepted. You know, is there anything that I can improve on or anything like that? I would like to have some feedback. From what I know is that they are sending feedback back. You may have to ping them a couple times because they're currently in the process of trying to get these finalists through the other, and you know, they also have these full-time jobs. Like Will works at Virgin Orbit and then Diana works JPL. Like everything takes time, but as long as you're persistent and then get some time in between. So like email them, they don't answer, send them an email in like 2 weeks, and like hopefully we can answer more questions about that. So the next one is, does the fellowship include a scholarship, or is that based on the host institution? Oh, Tiffany, I think I already answered your question. Yeah, there's no money compensation from the fellowship, just the internship that pays you when you're working there. Can you request a company, or is it solely based on what you apply for, i.e. engineering or business or poli-sci? I would state it. Like, I know that I said that I want to get an internship at Blue Origin, and then I wanted to stay local. And I said it like I wanted to, you know, go to Blue Origin. Then you're saving money because it's just right down the road. And then so I ended up working at another space company in the area. But like, if you have a passion or something that you want to go after, voice it, say it out loud. Like, of course, there's going to be a lot of people who want to work at those, you know, top tier companies, and there's not a space for everybody, sadly. But you know, if you don't say what you want, like, there's no guarantee that you can get it. You know. I think that was all the questions that we have. All right, do we have anything else? I know I've said a lot, and like I said, please, here, let me share my screen again, or if it's currently sharing, I don't know. This is all the contact information that I have, so send me an email if you have any more personal questions or about the fellowship, and I highly recommend going to the Slack channel. I think that's probably going to be your best bet when it comes to getting immediate answers. Okay. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me, and really good luck in your applications. I can't wait to read them.